Welcome back to another episode. Today I'm going to introduce you to WordPress Multisite, which is an advanced installation of WordPress. It enables you to create a network of websites that you control under one WordPress installation. This is similar to the WordPress.com offering, where people can create a website under their installation, and it's easier to manage and maintain with updates and installation of themes and plugins. This is good if you want to have a network of your own websites that's easy to maintain, and it's also good if you're going to be creating websites for clients and want to make management of the updating of themes and plugins and the core a lot easier. So to get started, I'm going to show you a demonstration on a demo site that I have, and we're going to navigate to the dashboard. You're going to go here, and the first thing I recommend is if your WordPress installation is already in existence and you've had it for a while, you're going to have to go to the plugin section and deactivate all your plugins. You want to make sure this is done before you move on to the next steps. So make sure you take a moment and deactivate those plugins. And you also want to make sure that the permalinks work for your site. So play around with those to make sure the permalink structure works. I'm leaving it on plain for now. And then, later on, I'll reconfigure this. All right, so in order to get started, what I want you to do is navigate to your control panel on your server. And there's two ways to go about these next steps. You can do it from your control panel, which I typically don't recommend doing. I always recommend people edit their files on a text editor on their computer and then FTP the changes up to their server. It's just better that way. But either way, just always make sure you take a backup of your database and your files. So then you'll click on File Manager. It'll open up a new window. In this new window, you should see your WordPress installation. All right, so now there's two files in particular we're going to work with. The htaccess file. If you don't see this because it's a hidden file, go to your settings and show hidden files, the dot files, and just click on save. And then you should be able to see it. And then also the wp-config.php file. So this file, I'm going to recommend that you click on it and then choose the code editor. I'm just going to edit it in the simple editor here. And then I'm going to navigate down to where it says, that's all, stop editing, happy blogging. Right above that, I'm going to insert a snippet of code. But before doing that, I'm going to put a simple comment with a / space multisite. And this is just for my purpose, just to keep everything well documented. And then I'm going to close that comment block with another asterisk and a / again. Then I'll return just to give myself some space. So in here, we're going to put in this snippet of code that's going to enable the multi-site functionality on our website. So we're going to type out define, make sure it's spelled out like that, and then parentheses, and then we're going to put in a space and then an opening single quotation mark or apostrophe, and then in capital letters, you want to put WP, and then underscore, no space there, just WP underscore, and then uppercase again, allow, make sure it's all uppercase, underscore, and then again, all uppercase, multi-site. Make sure your spelling is correct. I'm going to put in the closing quotation mark right there. Then I'm going to put in a comma, and then I'm going to put in the Boolean value of true, and then another space, closing the parentheses and putting in the semicolon. All right, so going over this code, we're creating the constant with the word define, opening parentheses, space, opening and closing quotation mark, and inside that you have this word right here, well, this snippet of text right here, in all uppercase, WP underscore allow underscore multi-site. Make sure it's spelled out correctly. And then after the quotation mark there, you're going to put in the comma, Boolean value of true, close the parentheses, hit the semicolon. Take a moment to make sure your code is accurate. Once you do that, click on Save Changes. Go back to your WordPress website And then you're going to see, if you go, we're going to refresh this. If you go to tools, you now have the network setup link that you did not have before. Now, before we go into this, I want to show you some other areas. So your database, typically, if it's a brand new database, will just have 12 tables, right? So when we create our WordPress multi-site installation, this is going to change, and I'll show you how that looks later on. But now that we have this, we're going to have to choose if we want a subdomain structure or a subdirectory structure for our website. So subdomains is when a person chooses, in this example, site1, period, wrongsites.com. That's for this particular installation here. But it will be your URL, will be the primary, and then the secondary subdomain there would be the other site. The other way is the subdirectories. For this installation, I'm going to stick to the subdirectories version of the multi-site install. And then you see the network title. In this one, it's wrong sites. And then you got to put in your network admin email there as well. So once you choose which one you want, this tells you what's needed also. Please make sure your Apache mod rewrite module is installed, as it will be used at the end of this installation. So you can look at the documentation there. So again, we're going to use the subdirectories option. Click on install, and now we get presented with this page. We're going to it's recommending you take a backup of your existing config file and htaccess file, because we're going to put in this snippet of code. So in the wp-config.php file, we're going to take this code right here. We're going to copy it, and we're going to put it above the line, as it says here, that's all, stop editing, happy blogging. So we're going to navigate back to our config file here. Make sure we're down underneath where we defined the WP allow multi-site true. After the semicolon, press return twice just to give yourself some space, and then paste in that snippet of code. So what is this code doing here? We're defining the multi-site to true, define subdomain install. In this case, we're setting it to false. This could be true if you wanted to use the subdomain style. Define domain current site, so we're defining the current site. Define the path to current sites. Define the site ID current site 1, and then the blog ID as well. So that's it. So once you have that set, we're going to go back to, we're going to save this change. And then we're going to go back here. We're not going to refresh this browser yet. What we're going to do is add the following to your htaccess file, and then replacing other WordPress rules. So we're just going to copy this whole entire snippet of code right there. And again, you get to your htaccess file by going to your control panel, file manager, clicking on the htaccess file, go to code editor. I'm just going to go right here. And then we're going to replace everything inside this if module. The if module space mod underscore rewrite dot c. And then after that greater than sign, we're going to go underneath. And before the closing if module tag, that's what we're going to replace there. Delete it, and then paste in the snippet of code that you had before. Now take a moment, make sure that you put it in the proper location, because that is important. Again, you should have a backup of these files just in case you make any mistakes. You can restore from backup. So just make sure you save your file. And then when we go back to our website, here, if we refresh, it'll log us out and then ask us to log back in. And then now you will see that in your upper WordPress admin toolbar, it looks different now. So you can go to your dashboard. Now you see you have an upgrade network. You have a sites options. You have the user still. You have themes, plugins, and settings. Now this is for network settings and network setup. And you also have the My Sites up here, network admin, and then you have all these as well. And then you have the one site that was your original installation, and that's your primary site. Any site you create afterwards will be a sub-site to this one, secondary. And then you also have network admin, wrong sites, visit site. So you can go to the front end, you still see it there. You can go back to the dashboard, and then you can now see that if you want, from here you can create brand new websites. From here you can install your themes, and then you can make your themes network enabled or not network enabled. So that's up to you. And plugins will also, when you add a plugin, let's add a plugin here just for demonstration purposes. Let's add WP Sweep. We're going to install, and this is for demonstration. And then you can network activate, but I'm going to go to install plugins, and you have the network activate, or you can leave it unchecked to have it deactive unless you want to install it on the other sites. All right, so now we just created our multi-site installation. Now let's create a brand new site. So we're going to add a new site, and this is where you can put the information there, and then the title, and then the admin email if you want. All right, so before we actually do that, let me go show you the network settings. So this is the network title. You can change that here. You can change the admin email. You can choose the registration options here. If you want to, registration is disabled, user accounts may be registered, logged in users may register new sites. You choose the options that you want for your network install. And then you can send a registration notification to the network admin, and then allow site administrators to add new users to their site via the users add new page. You can choose to toggle that on or off. And then if you want to, ban some names, you can choose that here. And this is a good idea because you don't want it to conflict with any of your names for your main website. So if you're going to have a blog page, you obviously don't want to have a subsite named blog. So you would ban some names here. And then limited email registrations, you can choose that if you want. Banned email domains, you can set your welcome email like that, welcome user email in that manner. If you want to have a first post, you can do that there. First page, first comment author. These are some of the options you can do. You can even limit the site upload space. And this is beneficial, especially if you are, creating a network that users will be able to manage on their own. You would want to make sure that they don't overwhelm your server with extremely large files. So you can site upload space. You can set it based on, that whatever limitation you want, and max upload file size the same there. And then enable administration menus for plugins. You can do that there if you want. All right. So now that's that. And then network setup. That's what we went over before. All right. So let's go back to the all sites. And then we're going to add a new site. So you would add a new site by typing it out here. So in this case, it's bronxites.com and then / and then you're going to give it a name. So in this instance, I'm going to call it, just for demonstration, site 1. And then I'll just put in the title for this site in that manner. And then you can choose the admin email. I'm going to put in mine just for now, and I'm going to add the site. So now when I go to my sites, you now see you have the other option of site 1 there. You can go to the dashboard, and now you have this WordPress website as a subdirectory, which is a secondary site to your main site. This could be your client site. This could be other websites that you want to use and easily manage from your one installation. So when you go visit the site, you will see now, instead of just bronxites.com, it's bronxites.com /site1 /. And it has a different title than your main website. All right, so that is pretty much how to create a multi-site installation. The beauty is that you can install themes and you can choose whether or not you want them networked enabled. So you see these are not networked enabled. So if you go back to the Site 1 dashboard and you go to Appearance and Themes, they only have the one theme available to them. But if you go back to your themes section of your network admin area, you can choose to network enable any theme you want. So now you have those networked enabled. So if you go back to that other subsite, go to appearance and themes, now you have those themes available. This is a great way for you to manage, who has the availability of certain themes and plugins on your site. If we go to the plugin section, we have this here. It's not enabled by default because we didn't network enable it, but you could activate it here in the subsite. So this is an easy way to, give access to your themes, your plugins, to yourself and to clients who are creating subsites on your WordPress installation. Now I want to show you what the changes are to your database. If you remember, I'm in PHPMyAdmin here, and these are the 12 tables that you previously had when you created your WordPress website. If you already had an existing installation of WordPress, this could look differently based on the amount of plugins you have and other features you add. But for a standard installation, you only have 12. Once I refresh this page, it's going to change. Now we have more tables created. Here we have 28 tables now. And the reason for that is because we created another subsite in a subdirectory format. So your primary one will have the standard looking tables, and then the subsite will have the ID, the blog ID or site ID of 2 or 3 or 4 or however many sites you have, and then it'll have their tables added as well. You'll also have the blog versions, things of that nature. So you're going to have additional tables created when you create a multi-site version of WordPress. All right, so this is a very simple way to create a WordPress installation. Again, you want to back up your files, database before you go along and do this. And I typically recommend editing these files on your local editor, so that way it's easier for you to manage any mistakes that you might make, and then you could just re-upload. But you could also do it here from the control panel. So that's 1 or 2 ways to go about doing it. So the WordPress website multi-site is a very good way to create new websites for yourself or for clients, and an easy way for you to manage them. What would happen is, if there's updates, you would just check for updates, and then you would install the updates. So what I'm going to do here is demonstrate how this would work. So I'm going to go to install themes, and I'm going to go to, I'm going to edit the 2016 theme. All right, so I'm going to put this to version 1.2. Okay, this is just for demonstration purposes. I also don't recommend changing information in the actual WordPress editor of your website because it just can cause issues. But for these demonstrations, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I'll update the file. And then what I'll do is I'll go to the dashboard and updates. And now you see we have an update available. It's the same exact theme. We just changed the version number for these demonstrations. So now if we go to the sites, you still see we have the update available, right? All right, so now you can just go here, go to updates, and then you're going to update themes. It'll run the process, and then you're going to have to update the network as well. So you updated the theme on your main site, so just update the network, upgrade network. It'll run through the process, and now both your sites and all the subsites themes are up to date. Very easy to manage. You only log into one WordPress installation and you're done. The same thing is done for the plugins as well. And let me show you what I mean. I'll go to install plugins. We have this one here, WP-sweep. We'll edit this one. I'm going to change the version number. I'll put that to 8. Update file. Then I'll go to updates. And you see we have an update available for that one. I'll update the plugin. It'll run the process of updating. I'll upgrade the network, and done. So it's a lot easier than having to log into a bunch of different WordPress dashboards or installing a plugin that's going to help you manage a bunch of different websites. It makes it easier to work with You can network enable themes and plugins. You can manage your sites and clients' websites. It gives you the same functionality as WordPress.com does. Now, word of advice, if you are going to be running a multi-site version of WordPress, I do recommend choosing a more powerful server than just shared hosting. Reason is because it's going to be, as your network gets larger, it's going to get more resource hungry. So you're going to need more resources dedicated to your WordPress installation. So a VPS would be a good way to go, with at least a couple of gigabytes of RAM and a good amount of storage capacity and bandwidth. Or you can go for a dedicated server if your installation of WordPress is getting that large. Obviously, that's only if you're going to have a bunch of websites on your installation where you're going to have a bunch of concurrent connections. You'll want to have the resources available to manage the amount of traffic you'll get on your installation. All right, so hopefully you found this episode helpful, where I demonstrated how to create a WordPress multi-site, how to configure it, how to set it up, how to create a new subsite. And then just remember, go to your file manager on your control manager, and then go to the actual location of your files where the htaccess file is, the wp config file, and make sure you have it set to show hidden files. You're going to want to ensure you first put in the define wp allow multi-site true, and then you're going to want to, after all that's done, put in this snippet of code that you'll get from the tools section of your WordPress website, and update the wp config and htaccess file. And then you can see the changes it made to your database. All right, if you found this episode helpful, give us a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, since I'll be giving you more videos on how to manage your WordPress powered website and advanced tutorials on how to take your website to the next level. Again, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.